Hey, what's up, guys? It's Logan from Gap Games. I got another game for you guys here today from our locals. Today it's going to be Harrison versus Matty, and we got an interesting one. Matty here is on Phasma ECL, which is the first time I'd ever seen this deck, and when I saw him playing it, I definitely had to get it on camera. We're going against Harrison here, who has been on the channel before. Last time he was on Piet Blue, this time he's on Anakin Blue with Colossus. So starting off here, Matty played a General Hux and then activated Phasma to do 1 damage to Harrison's base. And it looks like Harrison didn't have a turn 1 play, but he's going to follow up turn 2 here with a Concord Dawn Interceptors. Very strong card in the current meta with how heavy space has been. And Matty's got a resupply. So with Phasma being a 5 deploy leader, he's going to be able to deploy next turn. And we're going to get in for another 1. So I have a feeling that this matchup, there's a 10 health difference between their bases, with Colossus being 35 and ECL being 25. So Matty's got a big uphill battle here, and he's going to have to make very good use of this ECL to help make up for that huge difference in starting base health. And here we see a Stila Guerrera. This is a card that has been very interesting to me. One that I think might be a little bit underplayed in these red-blue hero decks. There are so many options now, and especially in Anakin, this card is amazing, dealing the damage to your own base and getting some card advantage back with that Colossus. So now Harrison's basically made up for the -1 card from his starting hand with that Colossus, and he's damaging his base, which kind of furthers his game plan with Anakin. Here we see Phasma deploying right away. This is interesting. Wonder what he's going to do here. I think I see a Phasma unit in his hand, the new one from set 4. ECL. Yeah, this is going to be really good. So Phasma here, it has a when played and on attack to give a first order unit +2/+2. So he's probably going to give his Phasma leader +4/+4 here. And with the on attack trigger, because the other one is first order, he's going to get in another point of damage too. So it's going to be 9 on this attack. Actually 10, because Hux give it raid 1 as well. So this should be 10 damage coming in here. 11 when you count Hux himself. I think that was added up correctly. I'm not too sure. So yeah, that was a big swing there. That was 11 damage that turn on base. And he's pretty far ahead on board presence as well, with being up a resource also. This daring rate is huge. Very, very notable that Phasma had 2 health left after killing the Stila Guerrera. I think if that Phasma stuck around for even 1 more action, that this might be too far out of hand for Harrison to come back from, because, yeah, especially with outflank, wow. That would have been insane. That would have been 5 plus another 6 from Phasma after the on attack trigger, so it would have been another 11 damage in 1 swing. And I keep forgetting the raid 1, it actually would have been another 13 damage because they're both first order. Here's a high interceptor. I wonder if it would have made more sense to play that first just to get that extra 1 point of damage in with Phasma's attack, and also get 1 extra point of damage onto one of Harrison's units. But he might have just been worried about some kind of removal coming in. Although I think as a 4/6, Phasma dodges most removal. And here we see, this is the power of Anakin though. Him being able to give +2/+0 to units that also restore his base health just makes it so free. So that Kanan got in for 6 and traded up into the Phasma, and then still healed base health for Harrison. So the quote unquote downside of Anakin was pretty much negated. And here, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that TIE Interceptor, Von Rig's TIE Interceptor, I'm pretty sure that that one is first order, so it should have had Raid 1 and thus also had Overwhelm. But I'm not 100% on that. I could be wrong. And here we see both players just trading through the entire side of the field here, both ground and space completely empty. That force throw was huge. This is also huge. Maul instantly killing Anakin. If Anakin stuck around for even one or two attacks, that's pretty much all of Matty's base health right there. And here's Cassian getting in for 3, getting smuggled there. So also just to know, if this wasn't already obvious, I have this sped up a little bit because this was a long match and it pretty much went to round time. And I didn't want to upload a whole hour long video. I'm sure most people would not be interested in that. So I think it's at 1.5 speed here, but I didn't want to make it too fast so it would be hard to follow what's going on. So I see a redemption here in Harrison's hand. That's another huge card in this matchup, I think, because realistically, if that can heal 8 health on the already 35 health base, I mean, how do you race through that? And it's a sentinel on top of it. And here comes Luke. Not going to kill anything, but just a 6/7 restore 3 is going to be pretty tough. Pretty tough on Matty's side here. Thinking about this more, with how many first order units there are available between the first 4 sets, I think Phasma is missing a couple like key um breakpoints or whatever you would want to call it of the total number of units you would want at each cost. And here we see a planetary bombardment, which that Ruthless Raider is a capital ship, uh, which is interesting to know. So that's 12 damage that Harrison has to spread around here. But Phasma, I think, is one of those leaders where there's not quite enough support yet to make something fully fleshed out at this point, but it's close. After watching some of Matty's matches over the last couple of weeks that he's been playing this deck, there are some very powerful interactions, especially with Phasma unit itself and ECL. Anything with on play and on attack triggers like that automatically is at least worth taking a look at. But I think it's just missing a few key things. It doesn't have enough units to fill out each spot on the curve to reliably trigger Phasma herself. And as far as enough payoffs, I mean, it's basically just General Hux and the 5-cost Phasma unit. Those are really the only payoffs besides the leader herself. So it's interesting. I think this is a really cool leader and concept in general. And I think as long as more good first order cards are coming out, this could definitely be a strong villainy aggro deck. And Matty's actually doing a really good job here, at least, of racing Harrison. And he pretty much would have had Harrison dead multiple times here if it weren't for this Colossus. So Harrison's choice of base definitely making a big impact here. But now healing this full 8 off of his base and putting it on the redemption might just be too much for Matty to overcome. And the fact that this Luke has been swinging at least a few times, I don't know how many hits it got in here, but healing every time Luke hits for 3 is just backbreaking. Most decks cannot race it. But here he's actually going to get a really good trade. He's going to be able to attack his Ruthless Raider into Luke or into the redemption and kill Luke with the on defeat trigger. And we see a Kanan follow up here and Dengar. So these two kind of match. It's 4-5 and a 5-4. But this force throw, oh man. Force throw is such a disgusting card. Every time I see it used and basically 2 for one resource, it's absolutely brutal. So that might actually be the nail in the coffin here. If that force throw didn't hit, Matty probably could have maybe clawed his way back here, but just too much. And then direct hit, taking out the Ruthless Raider he just played. And granted, he got 4 damage into the base with that, but the restore on Harrison's side is just going to be too much, I think. Basically, every unit that he has played this game heals him, it feels like. Which, that is a very interesting dynamic here with Anakin, the push and pull, the trade-off of getting the +2/+0 and restoring. Like this Yoda right now can just attack for 4 into, yeah, he's going to do that. And then he just heals back the 2 that he would have lost, so it's just a net neutral. Basically just makes Yoda into a 4/4 whenever he's attacking units, which is insane. And an interesting note here, I see he played an R2. I would assume he has C3PO as well. Those units, I mean, they're good for value and card advantage, but the fact that Anakin can let them trade up into 3 health units is really, really powerful on top of it. And them having 4 health themselves, like they'll survive most of those attacks, especially in the early game. So I feel like those are probably all stars in this Anakin deck. And here we see another planetary bombardment, which is a lot of damage. And I mean, Harrison's base has gone up and down in the high 20s, low 30s for several rounds now, but it just keeps getting healed and healed and healed over and over again. And yeah, I don't know if he can push through this last bit of damage here. He's still 11 off now. He's probably done 50 plus damage to Harrison's base, if I had to guess. Maybe more. I don't know. But it's a lot. And the fact that Phasma was able to push out that much damage that reliably was actually pretty impressive, though. And here we go. We're starting off game 2. A Special Forces TIE Fighter. That's an interesting one. That's one that could be potentially very strong against space matchups. But here, Matty's going to opt to keep initiative instead of pinging with Phasma, which is probably the right move. Actually, it's definitely the right move because now that I'm thinking about it, Anakin can activate and attack for 4 into Matty's space unit and still have his survive on the first action. So if Matty wants to get anything out of this, he needs to take initiative and attack right away, which, interesting to note, he could have attacked Harrison's TIE Interceptor, and then if Harrison wanted to kill his, they would have to trade. Not sure if that would have been worth it in the long run, but here we go. We have a resupply. So we're going to have another early deploy of this Phasma and Red Squadron X-Wing. That card, I think, is very strong. Every time I've seen it played in these blue hero decks in set 4, I mean, just a 3/2 draw card is very, very powerful. And with Anakin, again, it just feels like every unit is supercharged when they can just trade up so efficiently. And I mean, 2 damage on base to make a trade that you normally wouldn't be able to is 9 times out of 10 worth it. So this should be the deploy turn for Matty here. We're going to see, yep, Phasma coming out. Interesting to note, if he had a first order unit, he could have played that first, activated Phasma, then deployed it still. But he might be looking to, Yeah, I see a Phasma unit in his hand. He's looking to buff instead, which is in the end actually more damage because getting the +2/+2 is worth it, and you still get the on attack trigger. So this should be coming in for 7 here, if my math is right. 6, 8 plus the 1 damage on attack. He can kill that Anakin's interceptor, which I have to imagine he's going to do. Let's see. Yeah. So that's a decent swing here. He's got a lot of damage presence right now. Yoda, okay. Honestly, I think with the current board, he might want to just ignore Yoda, but it's hard to really say. He does have initiative going into this round. He could start off with an attack with the Phasma unit and then give the buff to Phasma leader. And that would be a total of 11 damage if he doesn't play any other first order cards this turn. That would already have Harrison up to 22 before the deploy turn, which with Anakin, I think you either need to basically have him dead the turn before or turn of his deploy if you want to have any shot, or you need to be able to take out Anakin the moment he does deploy. Because if you're just chipping in for damage and can't finish off the game, I mean, Anakin just being a 7, 8, 9 plus power unit, it's just going to kill you very quickly in return instead. So here we see he's just going to go for the Yoda. He's going to try and control the board. I think that this is still fine because Yoda restoring is annoying for sure. But in the end, he could have gotten in basically an extra 3 damage on base this turn if you factor in the 5 damage and then -2 for the Yoda restore. But we have Cassian, so that can trade up into Phasma with Anakin's ability if he wants to, which probably would be a smart move. We'll see what we got here. A Ruthless Raider, that's really good. Doing the last 2 damage on the X-Wing. So now, yeah, he has to get rid of this Phasma. That's just representing way too much damage at this point. Harrison's sitting on 21 already. But Anakin's coming out next turn, and this is what I was talking about. He's going to be an 8/7 as it stands right now. And you think about it, that's basically a third of Matty's base health in one hit. But he's representing a good amount of damage here. He's got 8 already on board. And he does have initiative. So we'll probably see this Ruthless Raider getting in first. Although I don't know what removal beyond Rival's Fall could really hit it anyway. So maybe going for Phasma would be better. That 4/6 stat line is very difficult for blue to handle because Takedown doesn't hit it unless it's damaged, and Fell the Dragon doesn't hit it unless it's buffed. So it just kind of gets around both so cleanly. And here's that Rival's Fall. Yeah. Just one of those little things you have to think about when you're going against these blue decks is like, how can they remove my units and which ones do I have to worry about being removed? And realistically, if you think about the more common cards played, I think Rival's Fall was really the only one that Harrison could have had there. And he's opting not to deploy Anakin, and Matty didn't play anything. That's really odd. So did Matty just pass? He probably has Maul and was hoping that Harrison would deploy so he could just insta-kill, which he can still do. Yep. Okay. But now Harrison, if he has like a Luke or something, him waiting for the 7 resource turn is very smart. Okay, we got Kanan. Still very good, but now he's in a bit of trouble here. He's at 29 damage on base with a Ruthless Raider sitting around. Force throw. General Hux. Okay, so that's only going to be 2 damage on the Ruthless Raider. I think Matty just claims here, right? I mean, if he gets in... Oh, daring raid of his own. All right. So where's... Yeah, Harrison's right at 31. He basically has to take initiative right here. Heal up or kill the Ruthless Raider and hope that Matty doesn't have any other burn, I guess. Kanan does heal, gets him out of Ruthless Raider attack damage range. Unless he hits a neutral. Ooh. Ooh, man, that's brutal. Yeah, that redemption just heals 8 and is a brick wall right now. I guess it dies to really just a stiff breeze, but I guess Matty doesn't have anything else to deal with it. So we're going to go Ruthless Raider in. 2 damage on base. Man, this is looking so sad, just like last game. Notably, though, Matty has not used ECL yet. I don't know what other good targets he has. I think I've seen Kylo. Phasma is definitely one. I don't know. Ruthless Raider obviously is also a really good ECL target as well most of the time. And him drawing these Ruthless Raiders, they have just been keeping him in the game, though. The consistent damage that they put out is definitely very, very powerful. And here's a Kylo's TIE Silencer, which is actually, interestingly, that is a first order unit. So he's able to get in that extra point of damage with Phasma, too. And he's got 7 on board right now. Harrison's at 26 damage. So he's close. I see a Kylo in Matty's hand. That could actually be very relevant here. If he ECLs Kylo in and buffs the Ruthless Raider or the TIE Silencer, probably the TIE Silencer, I would guess, because Ruthless Raider you want to keep out of removal range. But if he ECLs that in, I also see, I think, an Overwhelming Barrage. But that would be that extra few points of damage he needs this turn. And I believe, I'm not 100% certain, but I think Kylo is also first order, so that would be another ping off of Phasma. He opts for the Overwhelming Barrage instead, notably, but now he's also being punished by putting that +2 on the Ruthless Raider with this Fell the Dragon. That's exactly what I was talking about before. I mean, I think you'd rather have your TIE Silencer Fell the Dragon and not your Ruthless Raider, but I think Harrison realized a second later, after he first put down the Concord Interceptors, that the Ruthless Raider was actually above 5, so Matty allowed him to do a little take back. But yeah, not putting that +2/+2 on the TIE Interceptor definitely was a huge, huge punish, because now if he had put it on the TIE Interceptor, if that got Fell the Dragon, at least then his Ruthless Raider could have still killed the Concord Dawn Interceptors in one attack. But now Matty has to deal with this shielded Sentinel in the Space Arena, and it's looking a little rough because he's back down to 26 damage on base for Harrison, so he still has 9 health left. I mean, that's actually more health than what Matty has left at this point. Matty's on 17 damage on base, so he only has 8 health left. And this attack is just rough because he's only killing the shield. And now either the X-Wing can trade into it, or they can just both get into base on Matty's side, and that would put him up to 20, which looks like that's probably what Harrison's going to do. There's really no reason to trade into the Interceptor while you have this Sentinel, unless you're worried about the Sentinel being removed. I think we might have a smuggle card. Not sure what that could be. Timely intervention, maybe? No. Okay. Maybe he was just checking his resources. We got another TIE Silencer. We can ping with Phasma. Shamsindula. The resource aspect of this card is not super relevant right now, but a 5/4 with Matty on 19 damage on base is actually very relevant. But we have ECL Kylo coming in. So now that's actually a very big deal for next turn. Kylo getting in for 6 and pumping up another unit could be a big deal here. We have Cassian smuggled though, so he's coming in ready. Could potentially either kill the Kylo or just go for pressuring base. He might think that he's got enough health left to spare that he doesn't have to worry about it. This is a tough one on Harrison's side. Does he just go for the one on base? Yep, put him up to 20. And then I'm assuming Matty's going to take initiative. Yep. And we're going to go for another 3 on base. So this is down to the wire at this point. Matty's only got 2 health on base, so he needs something like an overwhelming barrage or something to take out multiple units here. He does have a big unit in Kylo that can take out 2 things with overwhelming barrage. Actually, he could clear the whole board. And that would just basically win him the game most likely, unless something like a Luke comes out. But is that an outflank in his hand? If that's an outflank, I think that actually might do it because Kylo goes into base for 6, pumps the... Yeah, it is. Wow. Okay, so 6 into base, another +2 on the TIE Interceptor over here. That's going to give it overwhelm because it's going to have more than 4 power. That's crazy. That's such a good synergy. So let's do some quick math here. That's 6 from Kylo. The TIE Interceptor gets +2, putting up to 5 with overwhelm. So it's going to get in another 4. So that's 10. And Harrison's on 26. Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. That was a really, really cool ending to that game. I would definitely say that's a first as far as games that I've seen. But here we are going into game 3. Another early space presence on both sides. This Anakin's Interceptor and the TIE Silencer getting hit with a daring raid is rough. Having only that 2 health just meant that Harrison's going to be able to trade very favorably here and get an early advantage on board. Oh, yeah, he kind of has to use this ECL here if he wants to play this TIE Interceptor. But he did put notably 1 too many damage on the TIE Interceptor. It should only have 2 from Anakin's Interceptor. But if he didn't do that, Anakin could just trade into him with activating leader ability. So I see why he ECL'd there, but kind of brutal that it had to be burned so early here. And now I'm beginning to wonder, I don't think that 1 extra damage on the Von Reg's Interceptor is going to matter. Let's see what he's got here. Is that the new Dengar pilot? That actually would be very relevant because that would put it up to 4 health if it had the correct amount of damage on it. And that would mean that it would survive attacking into the Concord Dawn. But now I think marking that damage wrong is actually going to be a big impact on this game. Guess we'll see how it shakes out here. I think I saw an overwhelming barrage in Matty's hand. So instead of just having the Concord Dawn Interceptors dead this turn, I guess he's just going to overwhelming barrage instead. Which is still not bad, but it's unfortunate that it played out this way. So he's definitely going to be able to kill that and put a few damage on the C-3PO. And also, interestingly, that'll put him above 6 power. So the Von Reg's TIE Interceptor will get the Raid 1 bonus as well. The Overwhelm is not very relevant right now, but it's going to be 2 indirect from the Dengar pilot plus another 6-7 with the Raid 1. So that's a lot of damage in one swing there, which is actually very, very big. And here's Phasma deploy and just getting Oh man, this is just brutal. The village protectors are so rough, and I don't think he has not played a first order unit or card this turn, so he doesn't even get the on attack trigger, which would have at least let him kill the village protectors in one hit, being able to ping before the attack goes through. But here, Harrison has a couple choices. I believe he's on initiative. He could either use Anakin to trade into Phasma or trade into the Interceptor. And it looks like he's going to go for Phasma. I guess if the Interceptor goes to base, his own Interceptor will get +2/+0. And I know in Matty's shoes, he just wants to push in damage here, but I think for the sake of board control, he might have wanted to kill the Anakin's Interceptor here. He still would have got one Overwhelm in, but now he's turning on that +2/+0 buff with the 15 plus damage on Harrison's base. And Harrison then, he could have either just gone base or traded with Matty's unit, and he decides to just go base. But I think even giving Harrison that choice maybe wasn't the best move, especially now that he has this planetary bombardment. Having fewer units to potentially even soak damage on board um, makes it a lot tougher. But now, did he mark the damage from Stila being played? Because he's doing the top 8 card thing. And I don't know if he did or not. I didn't catch it, but yeah, he did now. Okay. The planetary bombardment's interesting too, because now you just fed the Anakin player more damage on their base right on the deploy turn without you having any way of removing him. So he just got in a big hit. I believe that was 9 from Anakin. And here, if he attacks base, Anakin's going to be at 10 power and can just kill him back in one hit, which I don't think Matty realizes. So here he hits him for 4. He's at 31. That's 10. It's exactly 25. Yeah, that's tough. I think he pretty much has to pass there and then attack in, but he's got the Luke, so it's probably a moot point in the end anyway. But yeah, really close one. Basically came down to the final turn and the final actions in all of those games, really. The first one, Harrison was able to claw back after taking so much base damage. It was crazy. But that just proves the power of Anakin Blue and the healing that it has. That all being said, as always, if you like the video, please drop a like. If you want to see more, drop a sub. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I appreciate you watching. Peace.